Sports fans,
Sports lovers.
welcome back to Global Sports from a Caribbean perspective, the place where we provide you with the best takes, the best games, talk about the best players, all from a Caribbean perspective. And I'm your host today, Shabba, and I'm here with
Dops.
And we're back finally after a 3-week break with the Vincy Soccer Premier League, and it is the final game of the first round in the Vincy Soccer Premier League. So after a 3-week break where there was the international window, the Easter break, and the highly anticipated Soccer Fest featuring Shelley and Fraser Price out of Jamaica, league action returned with plenty of intensity, drama, and statement performances. So let's get straight into it. These games took place on Thursday and Friday night at Independence Park, and the first game saw Hope International take on Avenues United. So Hope finally returned to winning ways, their first victory since game week 1, and they had to dig deep for it. Wow. Shema Wilkes opened the scoring from the penalty spot in the 30th minute after an earlier penalty was missed. But things took a turn when Hope goalkeeper Kizani Haynes was sent off for a handball outside the box, leaving his team with 10 men. Avenues capitalized through Cadel Hector from yet another penalty, his sixth of the season, but despite the advantage, they struggled to assert control. The decisive moment came late on when Tevin Thompson was played through and calmly finished in the 84th minute to secure all 3 points. A massive result for Hope in the context of the table. Another disappointing performance for Avenues, despite being up, man. Where do we take it here?
I have to give credit to Hope, who dug deep. Force victory since game week 1 says how much of an important victory it was. It was a 6-pointer, very early 6-pointer, being it be the final round, the final game week of the first round. So yeah, it was a 6-pointer. So yeah, credit to them. Avenues, apart from the set pieces, they really need to try to create something from open plays. Starting to feel like it's a bit of the theme that Chelsea had earlier in the season, and I think something needs to happen. They at times they look cohesive, at times they look like they have a game plan, but I think the end product, the final touch sometimes lets them down. But credit to for finally getting that victory, and hopefully this is the start of better things to come.
Yeah, Hope definitely needed this victory after only getting one win, as we mentioned, since game week 1, and they found themselves down in the doldrums of the table. So that win would definitely help their push to stay alive this season. As for Avenues, it's just a case of more the same of what we've seen so far, struggling to create from open play and create clear goal scoring opportunities. Most of their goals have come from the penalty spot. If we're being real, credit to Hector for converting them. He's doing a very good job of that. So nothing against him, but they aren't creating enough to get points, basically, right? And it doesn't look good for them going forward. So we move on to the second game from Thursday night, which saw Belle FC take on Besco Pastures. A tense and heated affair decided by a moment of quality. Delano Benjamin stepped up in the 81st minute and produced a brilliant free kick to separate the two sides. The match itself was a physical contest with 9 yellow cards and 1 red card that was shown to Denelson Lewis of Besco Pastures as he was dismissed later on. So Belle edged it in a game that could have gone either way, but they come over with 3 points.
Yeah, tough game. One I think I predicted to end in a draw. It was really a moment of class from Benjamin. Not too sure if it was my angle though, as I was watching from the live stream, but the wall and the keeper just seemed like the positioning was off. The keeper was directly behind the wall, and the wall seemed to be marking the far post as opposed to the post closer to them. So it seemed like Benjamin really had a open goal, and yeah, credit to him for smashing it home. Hard luck to Besco. And pretty sure they would bounce back in games to come. But yeah, it was a really nice game. Like the physicality, unlucky to the Nelson, who's been one of their best players as well. Unlucky with the red card, but yeah. Good 3 points for
Yeah, I'd say the red card for Denelson, who, as you mentioned, has been one of their best players this season, came as a result of frustration after the goal had just scored. And I have to echo your sentiments that the wall was very poorly placed. It basically was a free shot for Benjamin. The keeper basically gave him the rights, or baited him into taking a shot, and that he did. Very powerful shot into the, not even into the corner of the net. Basically,
Yeah.
it was basically in the middle of the goal. So poor goalkeeping, which is something that we have mentioned over and over this season as well, and something that we'll get to later with one of the games as well. So nice victory for Belle as they get back on track. Unlucky for Besco Pastures. Move on to Friday's games, and there were 3 games. First game saw Bequia United take on Layou FC. Layou FC continues to apply pressure at the top with a strong comeback performance. Bequia struck first through Gideon Best after good work from Mark Brown, but their lead barely lasted. From kickoff, Layou responded literally immediately. Muzrani Harry finishing from close range before Garrett Ledgerwood and Wendell Coffey added quick-fire goals to completely flip the game. They scored those 3 goals in about a space of 7 minutes. From there, Layou managed the match well and cruised to victory in the second half. So, expected victory here for Layou.
Yeah, professional performance. Apart from the early goal conceded, I must say enough respect to them for the quick response. Bequia really like whimpering around right now in the competition, and Layou really not playing with the food. So credit to them. They have these, I would say, the second best attack in the league, clear to see. And yeah, they didn't play with the food, and they made easy work of Bequia.
Yeah, so Bequia scored the goal, and we thought there might have been an upset on the cards, but Layou, as we mentioned, responded literally immediately from the kickoff. They made a few passes at the back, and then they went through and scored. It was a very impressive performance by Ledgerwood and the returning Kenija Joseph in midfield as well, who played one of the balls over the top. I think it was for Garrett Ledgerwood's goal, and he was very impressive in the middle of the park, and Layou seemed to be finding their stride again as they try to run down system 3. As for Bequia, as you mentioned, whimpering, not that much better off than Avenues United at the moment, and both teams look destined for the drop. However, we still have a whole second half of the season to play. Move on to the second game of Friday night, game of the weekend, I'd say, which saw Awesome FC take on System 3. The league leaders sent a clear message. They did it without their top scorer, Azino Salomon. Awesome opened the scoring early through Giovanni Enville after a brilliant pass over the top from Chadstra. But System 3 responded just before halftime through Javin Sutherland before Isaiah Charles completed the turnaround. Then came the moment of the weekend as Denzel Bascom with an outrageous long-range half volley that could easily be the goal of the season. He added another later on despite a cancellation from Awesome. System 3 walked away with another 3 points. So what did we learn here with System 3 making light work of Awesome even without Azino?
Yeah, it was impressive. To be very honest, I expect Awesome to pose a bit more of a threat. I thought it would have been a closer affair than this. And yeah, System 3 quality really shine bright. And credit to them. Denzel Bascom's goal, I don't think we'll see a goal better than it for the season. It was so crazy. I will say something funny. I had to touch my girlfriend. Yo, babe. She's like, whoa. Yeah, bro, because it been so quick. Because I didn't watch the game. I checked back over in the morning and I watched the highlights and so. And I couldn't believe that Denzel really took that on, and the execution was perfect, the technique was perfect, and hats off to him. We know the type of player he is, but this was really unexpected and something truly impressive, and yeah, goal of the season for sure.
Yeah, for sure. He's been one of the better players for System 3 amongst many who've been very impressive for them this season. And this was a standout performance for him. He didn't even start the game. He came on as a substitute in the second half and produced that thunderous half volley. It was, if I were to guess, that was probably 30-35 yards out.
Yeah, it was very close
probably
to
further.
very
Probably
close to
further.
the half line, bro. It
Yeah,
was
so
very close to the half line.
definitely goal of the season, based on our estimation. I think we've seen the majority of the games and the goals thus far to make that judgment. So shout out to Denzel for goal of the season, as well as the speedy Isaiah Charles, who looks very, very impressive.
And the youth on the left,
Shamran Phillips. Very,
Deadly.
very, very, very impressive.
Deadly.
So even without Azino Salomon, the league's top scorer and obvious best player, we still see that System 3 has enough depth to be better than their opposition. So credit to the league leaders. As for Awesome, nothing for them to be feel ashamed of.
Correct.
I think that's only their second loss of the season. They look safe. They have goal threat. They are defensively solid when they're not playing system 3. So nothing for them to be ashamed of, and I'm sure they'll bounce back. So moving on to the final game of the first round of the Vincy Soccer Premier League, which saw Camdonia Chelsea take on the defending champions, Layou Predators, and this was the upset of the weekend. Camdonia Chelsea continued their resurgence with a huge win over Layou Predators. Jamal Luke capitalized on a goalkeeping error to score the only goal of the match. A massive statement result and a remarkable turnaround after their early season struggles.
Trying to remember if this is the first goalkeeping error from this keeper. But my memory is not so good. But yet again, as we said earlier, couple game weeks, and it continues, bro. Goalkeeping errors, and I just want to give credit to the players who accept the gifts when they're given to them and the opportunity placed in front of them. I was really not expecting this. And of course we've noticed over the past few weeks that Chelsea have begun to, become one of the dark horses. If I do say so myself, I mean we don't have a Champions League contention for in terms of places, but they are still certainly making a noise in terms of the top 4, the top 5 with performances like this. I mean, yes, you got a gift, but you still have to keep it solid. You still have to, make sure you neutralize whatever not be good. Yeah, through at you, and they did that. So credit again to Chelsea for this. This is what we call a serious statement and a massive upset.
Yeah, most definitely. At the beginning of the season, when Chelsea weren't playing well, and we rightfully called what we were seeing. They weren't one of the better teams. They were down at the bottom of the table with Bequia and Avenues United. But ever since their game against System 3, I think that they lost, but they scored 3 goals, I think, in that game. And ever since then, their season seemed to take a turn for the better. And they've now defeated the defending champions. And now there's no stopping them. There
Yep.
seems to be no stopping them. And who knows where they can potentially finish in the table. You mentioned that finishing 4th, 3rd necessarily doesn't matter, but I think they will try to finish as high as possible based on the start of the season that they had, and that would cement their rightful place wherever they do finish, because they finished fourth last season, and I'm sure they would be looking to consolidate on that finish at least. As for Predators, they looked a bit blunt. This is something that we've mentioned a few times over the season with them. Sometimes they lack a cutting edge up front, and if it doesn't come from DL Spring, struggle to find inspiration elsewhere. So that's something that has definitely cost them their league title. I think it's safe to say that they won't be retaining their title this year, but a massive win for Camdonia Chelsea. So let's recap the table after 9 games and the completion of the first round. Here's how things stand. System 3 FC lead the table with 22 points, maintaining a strong gap at the top. Layou FC sits second on 18 points, keeping the pressure on, while the Predators are third on 16. Belle moved into 4th with 15 points, followed by Besco Pastures on 13. Mid-table, Awesome FC and Camdonia Chelsea both on 11 points, while Hope International climbed to 9. At the bottom, Bequia sit on 4 points, with Avenues United still rooted to the foot of the table on 3 points. As Solomon remains top of the goal scoring table with 15. Kobe Mingo sits in second on 8. DL Spring and Garrett Ledgerwood, who scored this weekend, moved up to 7. Cadel Hector rounds out the top 5 with 6 goals.
Player of the week, Denzel Bascom, System 3, a standout performance capped with what could be the goal of the season. Team of the week, Hope International, of course, first win since game week 1, and now open up a 5-point gap at the relegation. So credit to Hope again, and Denzel, big up yourself, brother.
Yeah, most definitely. And looking ahead to game week 10, which will see the first game of the second round, which I think these are the fixtures that took place in game week 1 as well. and we're going to go through each fixture and provide our predictions. So, first game, we'll see Layou FC take on Jebel FC, a big clash near the top of the table. So, can Layou maintain their momentum, or will Jebel continue to climb into the top three?
I think it would be a very, very tough matchup. Two very strong teams in their own right. But as I said earlier, Layou with the organization and the attacking fire for, I think it would be just enough to give them a 2-1 victory over Jebel here.
Yeah, I could see Layou most definitely coming away with a win here. Jebels have been very inconsistent, very up and down. Sometimes you're not sure what you're gonna get from them in terms of result. You know what you're gonna get from them in terms of style of play, but it's if they go into hours perform at the highest level required. And as you know, Layou has a very powerful attack, one that doesn't play with its food, as you mentioned. So I could also see Layou coming away with a victory here, 3-1. First game, first time they met, I think this was a draw or a close Layou victory, if I'm remembering correctly. So move on to the second game, which was the System 3 FC take on Besco Pastures, the league leaders against a team looking to bounce back. So will System 3 continue their dominance, or can Besco produce a surprise response?
I think Besco would come into this game with some blood in their eyes and some vengeance in their heart, as they were really ripped apart in the first round of fixtures. I think it was 7 goals
Correct.
to 2. So I think they would come with, a little bit of fight in them, and they wouldn't want to go down in that manner again. With that being said, just like Layou and the Jebel game, I feel like System 3, as they showed us against Awesome, has too much firepower. They have goal from all over. You could get from Ball in the back, Javin Sutherland. You could, still have Shemran, you still have Bascom. It have Cunningham. So there are many names I could call. So I feel like System 3 would be a bit too much of them, kind of overwhelm them a bit, and would walk away with a 3-1 victory over Besco.
Yeah, as you mentioned, that's a great point that Besco would be looking to come back into this game with some sort of revenge on their mind after the first time they met this season. Also, they lost their last game, Besco, so they have double reason to respond, and I could see them putting up some sort of resistance and keeping the scoreline down compared to what it was the first time they met. But with all that being said, I could also see System 3 coming away with a comfortable 3-0 victory on the weekend and maintain their position at the top. Third fixture this weekend will see the defending champions Not Leeward Predators take on Bequia United, and it's a chance for them to bounce back. So, will Predators respond like champions, or can Bequia cause an upset here?
I think it would be a easy victory for Predators. I don't think that Bequia would pose too much of a threat. I think Predators would kind of cut them apart in terms of the way they create chances for themselves. As much as we know, they are really missing that cutting edge in front. As I've seen in games past, they do have that midfield duo who can string passes together and make things happen. So yeah, that's what I'm expecting to see, and maybe a 2-0 victory for North Leeward Predators.
Yeah, this is the game that actually drew in the first round, three goals. And that was a bit of a surprise at the time, seeing that Bequia were newly promoted and Predators were the defending champions. However, as the season has played out, I think we could see the difference in quality between the two teams, despite Predators not being at the championship level compared to last season. So I could see them exerting their quality here over the Grenadines outfit and coming away with a 2-0 victory. Moving on to the fourth fixture of the weekend, which will see Avenues United take on Awesome FC. Avenues are desperate for points. Let's just get that out there. Is this the game they finally turn their season around?
Uh, I don't think so. I don't think so. In a positive, the only positive I could see for them in this game is that Awesome come out blunt and don't take their opportunities and just miss a whole lot of chances, and it ends up in a draw, or they somehow get a penalty. And I really can't see, and this I'm trying to say this with all the respect to Avenues. I really can't see them putting, you know, a proper structure, game structure together to take Awesome apart and win the game. Keep Awesome out. I only see Awesome really taking advantage of them. I could see Chadstro really liking his matchup and really taking it to his defender. So yeah, Avenues will certainly lose this game, and I would go with a comprehensive 3-0 victory for Awesome.
I'm gonna have to agree again. I don't want to be different just for the sake of it because I have to call it like I see it, and I have to agree. The If I were to make a case for Avenues, they haven't won a game for the season, but they've drawn 3 games. One of the games they've drawn was against Awesome. They scored first in that game as well. Awesome not looking the most watertight at the back, but where are the chances going to come from? Where the goal is going to come from? Where Avenues are concerned, especially from open play. And even if they do get goals, do they have enough to keep out the likes of Straw and Enville out at the back? I don't think so, especially well, Coach Haid has been doing a very good job in the goal. If we're being honest. And it's actually crazy that, he has to be the goalkeeper of the team. But I could only see a awesome victory here with Straw, as you said, like in his matchup very well. Doesn't matter who's gonna be on his side. I'm sure he's gonna, want to put up some numbers in this game. So I could see a comprehensive victory as well for Awesome. I'll go 4 goals to 1. So moving on to the final game of the weekend, which will see Hope International take on Camdonia Chelsea. Both teams are building momentum. Which team continues their rise and creates separation from the bottom?
Oh, this one is tough. I think in this one I'll play it safe. I don't think I predicted a draw so far for the game week, so I think this is the one I will write down as my draw. I believe that both teams will cancel out each other. If Chelsea scores one, I believe Hope should be able to score one as well. I don't think it's gonna be a high scoring affair at all. So if they score, it's gonna be 1-1, and if they don't, it's gonna be 0-0. If we get a victory here, bro, I go with Chelsea. But as I say, this gonna be 1-1.
Yeah, I could see the game petering out to a draw, but this is where I'm going to have to give some credit to Chelsea again. I could see them taking advantage of the momentum that they've built over the past few games and take it into this game against an uncertain Hope International team, if we're being honest. They they took their time, but they defeated Avenues United, but they weren't that impressive. I didn't see anything from them that would make me want to put them favourites over a Chelsea team that I have been seeing consistency from over the past few games, most definitely, even in defeat with Camdonia. So I'm going to go with a 1-0 Camdonia victory here. And those are the fixtures that we'll see this weekend at the Brighton Technical Centre, where the games will be hosted this weekend. The games took place at Independence Park last weekend. They'll be in Brighton on this weekend. That wraps up our predictions of game week 10, which will be the second round of the Vincy Soccer Premier League. And before we wrap up, we usually have anything random that we would like to say. In regards to sports, football, and Sevens and Grenadines before we close. And I just want to touch on the soccer fest that saw Shelley and Fraser Price visit our shows. Just want to say that we had the opportunity to be part of the media at the media launching that they had out at the Diamond facility, and it was a pleasure. We didn't get to sit and have a conversation with her like we would have liked, but just being there in her presence and eventually getting a photograph with her, it was a great moment. And those are the kind of things that we're doing this platform for, basically. So it was a great moment. The games went down well. I think the Jamaican team won on the Friday, and then the Vincentian team won on the Sunday. So it seems like it had a great turnout. Shout out to Renson Haynes and Awesome Sports International for organizing a great event. And we hope we could see more things like this in the future.
Yeah, 100%. Was a good turnout as well. and really nice venture. Really like that the Jamaican guys came over and showed their quality. I was intrigued and eager to see what they would offer compared to what we have on show and how far the golf what's the golfing quality if there is any. And it was also a pleasure to, after being defeated 3-0 in Tongue, that the country team could take and bring home a victory for us. So yeah, credit to Renson again, and big up Shelly for coming through and just gracing our with just warmth and just some joy, just a good bundle and bubble of joy that lady is, and I love the message that she gave to the kids, that it could be them. She isn't special. It's just hard work and real dedication it takes. So yeah, big up Shelly and big up everyone involved. And big up for the invite. Big up for the invite.
Yeah,
as
most
well.
definitely. She signed a photograph, so we're gonna get that blown up and framed at the back here, as something to remember or visit to the country. I was having this discussion with someone, and not to go too off track, but do you think that Shelley and Fraser Price is the greatest sports person to ever visit our shows? Think about it, like the greatest sports person. I think Kevin Garnett was here sometime. But
Yeah, but compared to what she has done,
compared to what she's achieved in her career, not just for a woman, not just, but she's great, legendary all time. So do you think who do you think is on her level that has visited our shows?
that we've actually seen, because they say they see Jordan down in
Yeah, no, those persons that have made like public appearances. I remember when they had the Emancipation Cricket Fest last season, some of the legends from the cricket, Cotley Ambrose and them were here.
Yeah,
But are they greater than Shelley and Fraser Price?
maybe
Like,
in India. Yeah, maybe in India to Indian people, to different demographic, different regions.
Yeah.
Some people would have.
Depends on who you ask.
But yeah, if you're asking me, and I'm from St. Vincent, and if I am thinking this hard to really name something, just the other day I saw Mexico play St. Vincent in 2005, 2006, and I had to double check to see if Rafa Marquez played that game. I still haven't gotten around to it, but still, he's not to Shellyan's level. So as I said,
Shellyan is an all
you
timer.
really have to think hard, and yeah, maybe she is the greatest to have ever. I mean, we've met Liverpool players, but
Yes, that's true. That's true. Those
They
guys, weren't, and they didn't go on to achieve.
yeah, I gotta Google Adam Morgan. Yeah, but yeah, Shellyan is probably the greatest sportswoman to.
Yeah, so that was just a thought.
touch our
That
shows.
was just a thought that I was having off camera, and a conversation I was having off camera. It just goes to show the level of greatness that I was saying. We as a nation probably didn't even or don't even realize the magnitude of someone like that visiting our shows, and we take those kind of things for granted. But that was a very monumental moment, I would say,
Yeah.
for sports in St. Vincent going into history. So, anything else before we go?
Nah, not this week. I have something special for next week for sure.
All right, so there we go. There you have it. That wraps up our game week 9 review of the Vincy Soccer Premier League. Table is starting to take shape. The title race is heating up, and the battle at the bottom is just as intense. Be sure to join us next week as we head into the second round of fixtures right here on Global Sports from a Caribbean perspective, where we provide you with the best games, provide you with the best takes from the best teams, best players, all on a Caribbean perspective. I was your host today, Shabba, and I was here with
Dops.
and remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. One Global.
Global.